Hello everyone, and welcome to Griffin TV, broadcasting the latest information to the Canisius College community. Good evening, I'm John Bassanello. With Election Day in full swing across the country, we have a special political show with exclusive coverage tonight on the broadcast. Griffin TV gives you an insight from a political science professor here at Canisius. We also hear from a representative from the College Democrats Club, as well as input from current students. In addition, we get an update on campus news, events, and sports. But first, this past month has been a very busy one for Dr. Kevin Hardwick, a political science professor here at Canisius, who also serves as an Erie County legislator. Hardwick has offered his insight to various media outlets, including Channel 7, the Griffin newspaper, and through a cover story on the Canisius website. Griffin TV's political analyst Brandon Sateski tracked down Dr. Hardwick this past week to offer his final thoughts on this final stage of the election.
Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in this week. I'm joined by legislator Kevin Hardwick. Dr. Hardwick is in the Erie County legislator. He represents the 4th District of Erie County. He has been elected since last fall. This is his first term into the legislature. He started his political career young in the Susquehanna Valley School Board. He was just a senior in high school when he was elected. He received his PhD from Binghamton University. He moved up to Buffalo around 1989, where he began to teach at Canisius College. And like I said before, he just became part of the Erie County legislature last fall. Dr. Hardwick, thank you for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so looking at the election this year, we've seen a very competitive election season this year. Both candidates, in the presidential, firing back and forth between each other. And we've also seen some local races, Kathy Hochul versus Chris Collins, and even here Mike Amadeo versus Mark Grisanti. What are your feelings on the election this year?
Well, I think the presidential election is going to be very, very close. Everybody talks about that, obviously. It's certainly not 4 years ago when Barack Obama had his way with John McCain. A lot has happened since then. It's going to be very close, and quite frankly, I would I'd not be able to predict the outcome of this election. What I'm praying for is a dead even split, 269-269, because then I'd be able to talk about the contingency procedures and have an example with my students in Political Science 104. If it were a split, it would go to the House of Representatives. Each representative would not have one vote. Each state would have one vote. And it's almost for certain that Romney would win then, because regardless of whether Democrats take over the House in actual numbers in a few days, there's no question that Republicans will have more states, and that would give Romney the presidency. But at the same time, the Senate, which will probably stay Democratic, will pick the vice president, and that would probably be Joe Biden. So you'd have Romney president, Biden vice president, a perfect storm. I mean, talk about the odd couple. That would be fantastic. I would pay to see that happen.
Yeah, it would be a rare event if we actually did see that happen.
Saturday Night Live would have a field day for 4 years.
They would have a lot of fun with that for sure. Looking at what issues do you think are important to the constituents in your district?
Oh, for national issues, I think for everybody, it's the economy. I mean, people vote with their wallet. They're not going to care about aid to Pakistan or anything else for that matter, including a lot of social issues, although I think social issues probably come ahead of aid to Pakistan for most voters. But I think right now, given the malaise we've been in for the last 4 years, I think the economy is on everybody's mind.
Yeah, I would think so too. What about the crisis over in Syria there? Do you think that will have an impact on the election?
Until a few weeks ago, no one knew where Benghazi was, and I think on Election Day, no one's going to care about what happened. Certainly, if that were to blow up, that would favor Romney. That there's something going on there that's not being told. But again, I don't think that's what matters to people.
Right. Now, looking at some of the younger voters, do you have any words for anybody who might be aspiring to go into political office, such as myself?
I think you are doing the right thing. I tell my students in Political Science 104, American Political Process, that they ought to get involved in the committees, get involved working for campaigns. I compare them to the 12th man in football, people who are in the stadium, who are yelling their lungs out, trying to affect the outcome, trying to make the opposing guys jump off sides. When the Bills win, the 12th man, those people in the stadium participate in that win. They can claim responsibility for a portion of that win, and it means so much more. They can stay home and watch it on TV and clap, but there's just so much more real when they're there. Well, the same thing is true of politics. You can stay home, watch the campaigns unfold on your TV, in your Barca lounger, and change channels when you want, or you can get involved like you're doing. And on election night, it's going to be a much more intense experience for you because you'll have participated in it. You are the 12th man of American politics, and the wins are bigger, and so are the losses bigger. But for those of us who are competitive, who like to get involved, it's great. It's also good experience for someone who wants to run 2, 3, 4 years down the road for public office. It's great.
Yep. And we remind everybody that election night is on Tuesday. It doesn't matter who you're going to vote for, Democrat or Republican. We still encourage you to come out and show your support. Dr. Hardwick, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Brandon. For more on political coverage, we now turn things over to Griffin TV's John Hayden, who's in Studio B with a member from the College Democrats Club. Over to you, John.
Thanks, John. Well, happy Election Day to you all. I hope you all have had a chance to vote today. I'm here with College Democrats, Austin Koch. Austin, welcome.
Thank you.
I realize everyone's been very busy this week with last-minute campaigning as we finally draw to an end. So I want to start off with domestic policy. Who do you think has demonstrated better competency within economic policy? Everyone knows the world economy has plummeted, and we are continuing to experience economic turmoil. The unemployment rate has slightly improved. So there's somewhat success on the president's part. However, our energy dependence and trade with overseas markets has disadvantaged the president in the long run. So, Austin, how has President Obama really made any successes within our economy in the last 4 years?
Well, first off, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be here. And I think the most important thing to remember when we're discussing the economy is that President Obama took office during a recession which did begin during President Bush's term. And I'm not going to blame President Bush for everything, as some like to do. However, when you look at numbers from beginning at the time that the recession was officially over in June of 2009, jobs have grown by 2%, which is not a great number. However, we are currently the fastest growing Western nation. Mm-hmm. And the unemployment and underemployment rate has dropped by 11.6%, counting again from June of 2009. So that's something to keep in mind. And when you look at Governor Romney's record in Massachusetts did grow. However, it was at a much slower rate than the rest of the nation. Mm-hmm. I believe during his term, Massachusetts gained, 50,000 jobs.
Wow.
From what I read, which was a growth of 1.5%. However, during the same period, nationally, we were growing at a 5% rate.
Wow, that is significant.
Yeah, significant difference between the two.
Right.
And that also holds true for unemployment and underemployment, that it changed greater in the nation than in Massachusetts.
Wow. Governor Romney has proposed a 5-point plan, and he stated his plans to cut funding for Medicaid. His tax plan seems to be a huge concern for many economists and tax specialists. Do you think Romney has actually thought out this policy?
No, I do not believe Governor Romney has thought out his policy. His economic plan and the economic plan currently being touted by Republicans is austerity, as opposed to the president's, which has been to spend more. And we can look at what happened with austerity in Europe. Right now, Germany, which is doing the best in Europe, which is right, currently growing at a rate of less than 1% and is expected to continue at that rate next year. and Britain's economy is contracting. So,
Interesting.
taking money out of an already struggling economy is, of course, going to lower GDP growth, if not reduce it, and plunge us back into recession.
Right.
And even if you want to dismiss the arguments of Europe, considering that America is a different nation than really anything in Europe, we can look at New Jersey, which began an austerity program and in 2010, I believe. And before this program went into effect, New Jersey was ranked 35th for unemployment in the country. It's now ranked 48th.
Wow.
So
That
I
is
don't
significant.
understand why we would be proposing something that, when you look at evidence, is not working.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And as I said earlier, that our growth at 2% is the fastest growing in the Western world. This is why,
Right.
is that the rest of the world is trying to cut as much as possible.
And people have also been saying that Romney's tax plan is mathematically impossible. So I think that's significant as well. He also we also haven't seen significant improvement though within the past 4 years. I mean the unemployment rate has finally reached below 8%, and it's honestly hard to believe that this economy is even moving forward. So with that in mind, do you think Obama will change his policies significantly from his last 4 years?
Economically, I don't know how much President Obama really can change his policies. The economy is too unpredictable, and if you look at if you try and pass something radically different, that's going to be based on expectations for, far in the future, which not reliable, and I think it truly becomes a guessing game. So right now, I think we're going to have to take the slow growth. However, I think that's preferable to a contracting economy, which I believe, would happen with Governor Romney being elected.
Okay. I want to move on to social issues. Their stances on social issues, I feel like haven't been very as clear. So, what do you think about their positions? Romney's against the legalization of same-sex marriage. He's against abortion, and Obama's all for these. Do you think these factors are significant within voters' decisions?
I don't think that these issues are going to play a significant role in this election. I think voters are going to be voting based on what they're feeling the most, which is the economy, which is the money.
Right.
In the words of James Carville, it's the economy, stupid.
Right. Let's take a look at the a map of the polls.
Okay.
Right now, it looks like Colorado and Iowa, New Hampshire are making this election very hard to predict. What do you think about Iowa, first of all? Do you think they're gonna, play? What direction do you think they're heading to?
Iowa is very hard to tell. It switches between the two parties, and I don't believe in neither 2000 2004. The margin of victory for whoever won the state was above 1 or 2%.
Right.
So it's already a very split state politically, and candidates and the respective parties have recognized this and have really pushed sort of get out the vote movements, making sure their base comes out.
Right.
Even when you have two candidates who no one is thrilled with, that you're really having to push the idea that, vote for us because the other guys are worse.
Right.
And I think both sides are doing that, and it makes it so hard. Iowa's early returns from early voting are showing a lead for the president. However, Democrats typically vote early, whereas Republicans typically vote on Election Day.
Okay.
So,
I want to move on to foreign policy real
Okay.
quick. Many have referred to Obama as a foreign policy president, but the attack on the U.S. Embassy in Benghazi has of course brought a lot of criticism. Do you think his past successes abroad are going to help him out with this election?
I do. He famously has Bin Laden and Gaddafi.
Right.
So that shouldn't be enough alone, but it probably will lead voters to going towards him, especially with the economy being so mixed. I think people are probably gonna want to stick with what they know for foreign policy as opposed to an untested governor.
Right. Very fragile state we're in.
Yes. And as for the attack in Benghazi, it's absolutely terrible what happened. And, critics are rightly criticizing him for attending a fundraiser that night as opposed to staying and trying to get more information. However, this is not the only time this has happened.
Right.
This is either the 5th or 6th ambassador who's been killed in their work. Since I believe the earliest occurred during the administration of Lyndon Johnson. So it's already, and Libya is very volatile. It's not functioning as a state should, considering, the people overthrew their government a year ago. So I think there's definitely something to be said for, his activities that night as opposed to trying to stay and get more information. But, this is not a one-time occurrence either.
Right. Okay, Austin, well, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
If you haven't voted already, polls are open until 9. Back to you, John.
And tonight, Griffin TV also takes a look at the inner workings of our own government here at the college, the Undergraduate Student Association. Gabrielle Walter had the chance to sit down with Anthony Caresi, the Executive Vice President of USA. Let's take a look.
I'm Gabrielle Walter reporting for Griffin TV. We're here today to discuss Student Senate.
Student government, or also known as Senate, is basically part of the Undergraduate Student Association, which all of the student body is a member of. So it's basically the largest club on campus, and Senate is the governing body. We have the executive board, which is the president and 4 vice presidents, the executive vice president, which is my position, vice president of business and finance, vice president of programming, as well as the vice president of communications.
Senate has been working in many ways to connect to the student body.
Student government is very important to play a part of. One of my big things the past few years is with elections, making it as visible as possible and getting more people to vote, because it's one of the easiest ways to get involved is just simply by voting for either your class senator or for the executive board. And it's kind of something we've taken steps to fix. We wanted to branch out with clubs, so last year I worked with the old vice presidents and the president as well as our grad advisor, and we came up with the council of presidents. And this year I've kind of taken the charge on it, and basically all the clubs are attending these meetings, and it's a great time for all of us to talk about problems we're having. We can figure out how we're going to co-sponsor events, and basically it's a great time to have all the clubs on campus as well as the top leaders in one room making decisions that we can take back to student government.
There is even a way for students not in clubs or represented by club leaders to get involved.
A student, John Frandino, who started the Council of Students, and they meet at 6:30 in the library before Senate meetings on Tuesdays, and basically they come up with problems they have on campus. Are there any concerns that the Senate might not have heard yet? And they bring it to our meetings and they speak on our general student concerns.
These were some topics of discussion at the last meeting.
There's a new smoking policy that we kind of have been talking over and trying to say we just really want the current policy at least to be enforced and maybe changed in the future. But I guess our biggest topic we've been working on is the crosswalk at Jefferson, because I believe it was 2 weekends ago where 2 students were hit by cars. So I mean, I know it seems like something that should be easily fixed, but there's a lot of channels we have to go through to make those changes happen.
The student government and federal government have some similarities and differences.
Obviously, it's not as big as the federal government is. Seeing as we do only have one student government, we're not divided into two houses. But we do deal with a lot of the same things. We deal with finances, we deal with problems on campus, especially the ones that affect the student population the most. And once, just like the federal government, we have our own subcommittees, each dealing with their own little, I guess, department, we'll call it. Whether it's justice on campus, diversity, finances, even right down to the dining hall and ITS.
To reach Student Senate, you can send them a tweet, comment on Facebook, or even send them an email at usa@canisius.edu.
Of course, if you have any comments, send them to us.
This is Gabrielle Walter reporting for Griffin TV.
Correction, that was actually Gabrielle Walter with Anthony Crozy. This past week, Griffin TV reporters Rachel Furschbach and Christina DeBotto took to the Canisius College campus to see what issues students are paying attention to in this presidential election. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Rachel Furschbach.
And I'm Christina DeBotto. We are here in the Canisius College Library reporting for Griffin TV.
To get student perspectives on political issues of the 2012 presidential election.
Well, to be honest, I liked Obama 4 years ago because I liked the idea of having a president that was kind of a smooth talker and just in the political arena, and then now kind of plays a smooth talker to everyone. He hasn't really done anything for 4 years, so. Plus, I kind of always liked the idea of having a politician that had a past in business, because I think that's kind of the way a government has to be run, where people are willing to make cuts instead of giving handouts to everyone. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with welfare, I just feel like sometimes people abuse the system.
Holly Caldwell, who feels that the women's rights and healthcare are important political issues, decides to give her vote to Obama. Here's what Obama has to offer voters like Holly.
He will allow abortions for women who need it or want it, especially in the cases of rape or incest. And I am a fan of legalizing birth control and having it available through all health insurances, regardless of where these women may work, especially in the Catholic health systems. Women need access to birth control, and if you want to slow down the abortion rates, birth control is probably the best way to do it through a preventative model. So.
For student Aiden Ryan, he is unsure if he will be voting for either parties.
I might not vote for Romney. I might vote for Silvio Berlusconi and write in a candidate, as I'm allowed to do. He can't win because he wasn't born in the United States, but he has a much better personality than either candidate, and I think he would lighten up the office. And also I think my write-in vote would be a statement against that policy that you have to be born in the United States to run for president.
Aiden is unsure of the current political party structures.
We really need more than two parties, or we need no parties, or something like that, but Republicans and Democrats just don't work at this point. So Silvio Berlusconi, being a greasy politician and a general philanderer, I think would really shake things up, because he's really not ashamed. Our politicians are ashamed every time they get involved in a sex scandal. Silvio Berlusconi says, you know what, it's not a problem. And I think that kind of spirit would do a lot of good in this country.
That's all we have for you. I'm Rachel Furschbach.
And I'm Christina DeBotto. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Rachel and Christina. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with campus news and sports.
We will.
We will. We will. We will. We will.
We will.
We will be counted. We will matter.
We will stand our ground.
We will be brave. Brave. Brave.
We will be heard. Heard.
We will.
We will.
We will.
We will organize.
We will
Vote.
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 Vote. Vote. Vote.
We will.
Vote because we matter.
Because you matter.
We will vote because we make a difference.
We will vote. We will. We will.
And now it's time to get an update on campus news and events. Are you a student searching for an internship or job this spring, summer, or fall? Do you need help creating that standout resume, or does your resume need some sprucing up? Come to the Fall Resume Workshop on Thursday, November 8th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. in Regis Room North and learn the do's and don'ts of resume writing. Bring a copy of your resume to have it reviewed by business professionals, Canisius alumni, and Canisius Career Center staff. In an effort to support veterans and troops overseas, the American Red Cross is hosting a lunch from 11 to 2 p.m. on November 13th to collect care package items and holiday cards. Admission to the lunch of hot dogs and hamburgers is either 5 holiday cards or 5 care package items or $5. It will be held Tuesday, November 13th from 10:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. in the Montante Cultural Center. Join CPLD for a night with Rick Schenkman. Rick will be speaking about the complicated issues in the Middle East and how the United States has played a role in this. This event will be on Tuesday, November 13th at 7:30 in the Montante Cultural Center. This upcoming Friday, November 9th, Canisius Cinema presents The Campaign, starring Will Ferrell and Zach Galifianakis at 10 o'clock p.m. in Penfold Commons. For more information, please contact CPLD. This upcoming Saturday, November 10th, Griffin's After Darks presents Win in a Min from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. in Penfold Commons. For more information, please contact CPLD. Also on Saturday is a community service day from 9:15 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. That includes lunch. Register on the Canisius Campus Ministry website. We now turn things over to Kyle Ferreira and Mary Kessler for an update on our sports teams. Over to you, Kyle and Mary.
Well, thanks, John. Men's basketball got their season going with the exhibition win against Ryerson, and we sat down with senior guard Harold Washington to talk about that game and the upcoming season.
But first, volleyball wrapped up the home portion of their schedule as they continue to chase a MAC championship. The girls beat Manhattan on Saturday 3-1 behind 51 assists from junior setter Sydney Palka. Senior Samantha Good registered 20 kills and an attack percentage of .571 for the match, and senior Logan Salonga also contributed 13 kills. On Sunday, the team swept St. Peter's as they celebrated Senior Day. The team honored their 3 seniors, outside hitter Logan Salonga, middle blocker Samantha Good, and libero Ali Severin. For the match, the team had a .544 attack percentage, a program record, and were led by Good's 13 kills. They improved their record to 13-3 and remain in a 3-way tie for first place. They close out the season with games at Iona on Saturday and at Fairfield on Sunday.
The Golden Griffins hockey team hit the ice twice this weekend against Clarkson. The team tied on Saturday from 3-3 and tied again on Sunday 2-2. Sophomore Tyler Weissman scored 3 of the team's 5 goals over the weekend, and the Griffs record now stands at 1-4-3. They play next at home Friday night against Robert Morris and at RIT again on Saturday.
Be sure to cheer on both the men's and women's cross-country teams as they run at NCAA Regionals in Madison, Connecticut on Friday.
We mentioned basketball at the beginning. They beat Ryerson 77-54 in the exhibition opener, and I sat down with senior guard and All-MAC second team selection, Harold Washington, to talk about this coming season. Can you tell us what your thoughts are on Coach Barron?
Coach Barron's a great coach. I like the fact that he has a plan implemented, and I like his style, and he's a great leader. I think everybody's taking a strong liking to him. He treats everybody fairly, and he teaches us something new every day. That's the thing about basketball. We get better every day with Coach Barron. So,
what are your expectations for the team this season?
I have very high expectations. I want us to win the MAC. We have the talent, we have the players, we have the personnel. It's everything in place. We have the coaches. We just need to do it. We just need to find it in ourselves and just do it.
But what are your expectations for yourself personally?
Pretty much the same as last year. I can't come in with less expectations. You always got to expect more of yourself. But I still have to be more of a leader and I have to be more of a team player.
So you were named to the All-MAC second team this season. Can you tell us what that means to you?
It's a great personal accolade. I enjoyed it. It was something that I felt it was a sort of accomplishment. My first year and I actually get named to the All-MAC second team. But it's like I said, I'd rather that team go. I want us to achieve as a team.
Yes.
If I have to sacrifice being All-MAC to be a champion, then it's worth it.
Do you feel that your teammates and Coach Barron kind of expect more from you this season because you were named to this team?
They expect more of me just solely on the fact that I'm a senior.
So the team just played an exhibition game this past weekend against Ryerson, was it?
Yes.
Were you satisfied with your performance?
I was pleased with my performance. I could have shot the ball a little bit better and took care of turnovers, so You got to take care of the ball. That's one of the biggest things that I noticed in this room.
Well, you guys came out on top, so that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right, so lastly, what is your biggest strength?
Speed. I like
Speed.
playing fast. Yeah.
That's very good.
Yes.
And on the other end, what is your biggest weakness?
My consistency in being vocal.
Oh, I see.
So I have to be vocal a lot more consistently.
The Griffs play one more exhibition game Thursday night against Eckerd before opening up the regular season next Monday against Boston University, right here at the Kessler Athletic Center.
The women's team also begins their season this Friday against crosstown rival, the University of Buffalo.
That's all we have for you today. It was a pleasure talking sports with you, Mary.
And the same with you, Kyle. Back to you, John, for more political coverage.
Thanks, Mary and Kyle. Well, that does it for another episode of Griffin TV. You can always catch our episodes at 11 a.m., 5 p.m., and 10 p.m. on weekdays, with new episodes airing at 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. From all of us here at Griffin TV, have a great week, Canisius.